Welcome to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast, empowering you to take a whole person approach to your well-being, spirit, soul, and body. Join me, your host, Dr. Ana Lara, naturopathic doctor, entrepreneur, and a servant of Jesus Christ. We are not just a body, we are spirit and soul. It's time to integrate medicine and spirituality into our healing. Let's get started. Welcome back to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ana Lara. We're going to continue with part 2 with Daniel from Biotics Research Corporation. So welcome back, Daniel. We're going to continue the conversation where we left off.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. Hopefully people have heard our first segment, our first part, our episode on what we talked about, quality, therapeutic quality and therapeutic dosing and a couple other things. But we left off on the last episode on stress. We talked a little bit about stress. I shared my analogy on how I explain to patients about what stress is actually doing in our body. Well, simplifying it.
Yeah.
But let's dive into that, because no matter how great of a supplement or how great of a treatment plan is, if we don't address the stress response in a person, it's hard to reverse diabetes.
Yeah.
It's super hard to reverse autoimmune conditions.
Yep.
Cancer, everything starts with the nervous system, because it's alerting the immune system, it's alerting hormones. There's a whole cascade of events. But you said that this is something that you're passionate about. So am I. So tell me, why are you so passionate about helping people with stress management?
Well, I think just from experiences in life myself, and I think sometimes we don't think we have stress because we adapt to that feeling of hyperexcitability, lack of sleep. The body's kind of beautiful, but interesting that, well, that's okay. That's how it's supposed to go. No, it's not. And then we start, as you talked about in the last episode, the depletion factors that start causing processes of disease. In my world, working with a lot of the integrative physicians, they do a lot of wonderful hormonal therapy. But if you're in stress, they're not going to work well.
Yeah.
And that's a passionate piece for me, because we're really trying to help the patient feel better. And they think, oh, I want to come in and get some progesterone and testosterone or whatever, which is great if the lab values associate for the need. But if we're hyper stressed, and I call that, not to get complicated, but sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic is you're highly stressed. Parasympathetic is that's the calm. Well, many of us are in sympathetic. We're on our phones all day. We're not sleeping well. And that cascade ruins the hormonal process and response. But again, we talked about in the last episode briefly, that process of sympathetic dominance doesn't help digestion well. And that, we talked about food, sets up the GI for all kinds of problems. Pain perception, as I've discussed with you, we're in that sympathetic. Pain perception is much greater. So there's a lot of reasons why I like to talk about how do we calm that system down. Meditation is great, acupuncture is great, wonderful things, and it's not just about supplements. It's about all the layers of the onion kind of coming together to help people not be so fried.
Yeah, it's super important, because how I'm so concerned about young people.
Yeah, huge.
I see these high school students.
Very sad.
Already burnt out.
Yeah.
So I hope that my colleagues are also doing what I'm doing, because I am testing young teenagers for their hormones.
Yeah.
Because they need to see where they're at. And consistently, that progesterone level in young girls, young women, whether they're teenagers or 20-year-olds, they're low.
Yeah.
And cortisol is low because they were constantly under the stress, so now they're depleted, or all of the other hormones tend to be low, and so it's going to affect the cycle. A lot of these young people think they're having heart issues.
Right.
Their heart is fine. It's that progesterone in young women that keeps us calm. It regulates our nervous system, our heart, and so when it's low, I want to shout it at the top of my lungs. When progesterone is low, you will have anxiety. Yep. You will have panic attacks. You will have heart palpitations. You will feel like you're going crazy because it's low. And what steals from progesterone is cortisol.
Yeah, thank you. The cortisol
steal.
Yeah.
It steals from
Look at us.
progesterone. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling. It will steal from progesterone, and then it'll steal from pregnenolone.
Yep.
And then it makes its way across the aisle to take away from DHEA.
Yep.
And then from there, testosterone and your estrogens are going to be depleted. And so maybe I'll put up a picture on this part of the segment. I'll do that so people can see that pathway.
Yeah.
Because it's very important. So if it pisses me off when people are like, well, my doctor already did those labs. No, I want to see what they did.
Right.
First of all, they did not enough of the right test.
Right.
And they checked it at the wrong time of a female's menstrual cycle. So that test tells us nothing. So when I test these young girls, 15, 16, 17-year-old, I already see an unhealthy pattern. And it all relates to stress.
Yeah, it's very sad that, our youth is already there. And again, from so many factors. And doing what you do as a functional component of looking at the lab work versus what others do or don't do. Is huge. But it's like, my brain goes to, well, why do we get so depleted at such a young age? And we call it the cortisol steal. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's happening in these younger kids. It is absolutely. This is where so many of the integrative physicians work with adult population, but we really need to focus on these kids, teenagers, all of that, because I know you have kids. I have a kid. I'm looking at my 18-year-old. He experiences the same environment that we do, the same stressors that we do. What are we doing for these kids to get them to a place of calm? So literally, we talked about later in life, oh boy, we have set them up for failure.
Absolutely. Because absolutely, especially as women, our bodies are just different.
Yeah.
Our hormones fluctuate throughout the month while we are on a menstrual cycle. But that will stop. It'll be perimenopause, menopause, and there's so much talk about this on social media, but not enough people talk. I've done episodes on this.
Yeah.
Not enough people are talking about how do we help young girls to prevent some of the major downfalls that women are experiencing in their 40s and even in their 30s. My mom is in 84. And when I interviewed my mom a while back, just, personally, like, Mom, when you went through menopause, what was it like?
Yeah.
What did you experience? Because that's what I'm most likely to experience, right? What my mother experienced. Sure. And she's like, I didn't feel anything.
Yep.
Women complained about hot flashes and these things. I never felt any of it. I'm like, are you sure you just don't remember? She's like, no, right. I didn't have any of that. And I think it's the lifestyle. It definitely is a lifestyle.
Huge.
It's the diet.
Yeah.
Our foods are just not real food anymore.
Not
it's
what
so
they were
depleted.
84 years ago.
No, it wasn't. And especially
right.
my mom. She grew up in a farm in Mexico, so they grew their food.
Right.
They didn't spray their food with, crap.
Yeah.
They picked it off their field and it was good to eat, And so we live in a very different world. Our air quality is not what it used to. Our soil is not what it used to be. Stress is different. They had real stressors then.
Right.
Were they going to get enough rain because they didn't have irrigation? Were they going to have enough rain in their area
right.
for their crops to grow, to have money to, for
right.
the sale of their crops? So here we stress about all the traffic, the social media, the traffic, the accident. Someone cut me off and flipped me out, whatever. All of these
right.
things are triggering that stress response in us. And so there's things to help mitigate that stress response, that we are living in a different time. People are not sleeping enough because they are on their technology, and there's no reason to stay past that time for many of them, but they're choosing to do so. You know what I think with young people, and I love that they're in activities, but I think some of them are just overdoing
it.
The activities.
Yeah.
They really are. And
yeah.
I get it that sometimes as parents, we can be driven and we want our children to have the best, but the best that we can have for our children is to be healthy individuals, to be happy individuals. That's what I tell my girls, Daniel. I don't care about all this other stuff. I want you to be happy and healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would hope we would hope for our kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes we take them to the level of excess because we think they're going to be the next Olympic athlete, respectfully. But we have to really address looking at this population to reduce the stress levels. If you want health at every level, you got to look at how are you going to reduce your stress level.
Yeah.
Even if it's one little component of, okay, the phone's going away at night. start with little pieces of the layers of the onion of health. But as we were talking about, the cortisol steal, we're stealing from the other cascade of all your healthy hormones. And so even like your young ladies that don't have a good hormonal profile already, there's these adrenal glands on top of your kidneys, and it's a real deal, adrenal dysfunction.
Yeah.
And you're asking that gland to take over from the ovaries in perimenopause.
Yeah.
But you've burnt them out. And thus the experiences of heavier hot flashes and all that experience. For the listeners that are like, well, tell us something we should do. I would say talk to you and let's look at the adrenal function.
Look at the adrenal function and the hormone, the whole hormone panel.
Absolutely.
Because these adrenal glands are very small.
Yep.
They're not big.
Yeah,
They're very small glands, and they're the adrenals and the thyroid are the most important energy producing glands. That's what they do. They produce energy, and so when we're tapping out on those adrenal glands, over time they don't work optimal. So when women are getting into their older years, like I said, we're seeing it in their 30s,
right,
where they're entering perimenopause. That's not normal. That's not normal.
It's not normal.
And people are talking about it like it is.
It is, right. We're accepting
it's happening.
Yeah.
But that's not normal.
Right.
Women, a healthy female, should be in their early 50s, maybe late 40s, starting to experiencing, the symptoms of it. But you shouldn't feel anything till that point. And even if you take care of yourself, you wouldn't, because, and let me explain to the audience why, because the ovaries in women are the ones who are producing your estrogen and progesterone. And men, it's the testicles are producing testosterone. And some of it is the metabolism is happening in the liver, but most of that is happening in the ovaries. When women go through perimenopause, when they start going through that transition into menopause, those ovaries are not producing that. And it's sending a signal to the brain, we're done.
Right.
We're not going to make that much. We're slowing it down. And so then the adrenal glands kick in to produce just enough, Daniel, just enough, so that we don't feel those symptoms of hot flashes and losing our minds and tachycardia and all of that. So that's where the adrenal glands come in as a secondary organ and say, we're going to help out to just make a little bit.
Right.
Just a little bit, not to carry the whole load.
Right.
And then if those adrenal glands are healthy, then most women would go through that transition a little bit more gracefully. But that's not what happens.
Agreed. Because
we burn the candle on both ends very early on.
Yeah.
Well, not me. I learned in my early 20s, Daniel, not to do that.
Yep.
But then, we if women continue that pattern, now they get to this point, so usually 40s, and oh my God, it's like they hit a wall. They're losing their mind. They're losing their hair. They're gaining weight. They can't sleep. They're having panic. They're having anxiety. Their heart is racing. They feel like they need to go into a psychiatric hospital is what I hear most of the time. And they're still pushing themselves. Now, that kind of situation is going to not allow women to make the best decisions, because those hormones that were there, like progesterone, which helps us to stay calm, these hormones aren't there. So now we don't have tolerance for anything. So now you're yelling at the husband for just looking at her. What are you looking at? Right? Or the kids or whatever. Everything's just setting you off.
I won't say I'm familiar with that.
No, I'm sorry. But it'll start setting it just, and interestingly, if there were issues in the marriage, this is the time that they're done. I don't want to talk about it. I'm done.
They flare up.
They flare up because they cannot, their nervous system is not able to self-regulate anymore.
Right.
These hormones are powerful.
Well, and now they come to you to fix them.
And they're angry.
Right.
And they expect me to be Jesus.
Right.
And part the Red Sea and make miracles. And I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
And so I have a way of addressing that. And sometimes I do have to fire patients because they're not willing to make the necessary lifestyle changes. You got to slow down. You got to go to bed early. You got to do these. Sleep is the best thing to do to recover those adrenal glands.
Huge.
And it's the one thing that we cut ourselves on.
Yeah.
There's supplements that can help us go to sleep, which we're going to talk about some of that. some supplements that help our nervous system, our heart, all of that. There's one important mineral that I know you're just dying to talk about. I know it, and I'll let you talk about that here.
Yeah.
But there's things that help us to regulate, right?
Yeah.
But if we don't go to sleep, like you spoke in the last, I think it was the last episode that you said, we cannot, and this is in general, we cannot supplement something that the body needs, like sleep.
Right.
There's no supplement. I see these, I was going to say stupid. I'll say stupid.
Okay.
Because I think
That's
it is
fair.
stupid
Yeah.
for some influencers to say, take, creatine.
And that'll fix it all.
And that'll fix it all.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not.
I mean, it's a powerful ingredient.
It'll help here and there.
But now we're doing Band-Aid medicine, though.
Band-Aid medicine.
You know.
Band-Aid natural medicine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't eat well, you could just do that.
Right.
If you don't sleep, if you don't sleep at all, not even that you sleep, but you're not sleeping at all. You're sleeping 3 or 4 hours. Just take this to offset, and that's not going to work.
It's almost like green allopathy.
Green allopathy.
We're band-aiding something that we ideally would have addressed, like the adrenals, a long time ago. But now here we are, and now what do? We're not sleeping. Our adrenals are fried. And it would refresh me when you said earlier about the thyroid, importance of the thyroid. Mm-hmm. I've learned from great, brilliant doctors, brilliant mentors of mine, that you will truly never fix a thyroid unless you address the adrenals. Because there's this little feedback loop called the adrenal pituitary thyroid axis. And you may be on thyroid medication and feeling pretty good, but you're never really getting to full resolution until you're really addressing the adrenal dysfunction as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm very passionate about that. But again, how are we getting to sleep? We go all day super hardcore, and then at 9 o'clock we expect some pill to calm us down and put us to sleep. What is the lifestyle like? Are we doing any changes during the day to bring down the system a little bit? Then there are some very effective supplements out there.
Absolutely.
And some may be a little bit more unique than others. Many of your patients may be familiar with theanine, which I love.
Yeah.
But I think there are other things to look at. 57% of patients who do nutritional work themselves buy a standalone magnesium.
Yeah. Let's talk about magnesium.
Okay, good. Did I set it up well?
Yeah. Perfect. Because not all magnesium is created equal.
Yeah.
And there's many forms of magnesium.
Yeah.
I love it. I love all of them. I've used them all.
Right.
Talk to us about magnesium.
Yeah. Well, the literature on magnesium is very solid, and social media influencers and everybody say magnesium is going to fix everything. And it's very effective. I mean, magnesium, let's just put it this way, it does calm down the system.
Yes.
Okay. And many of us are magnesium depleted.
Yes.
Like if you did red blood cell magnesium and looked at true magnesium status in the red blood cell, it's often very deficient. Again, stress. The cycle of stress is burning it up. So many of you may be familiar with magnesium glycinate, which is a great form, doesn't generally loosen up the GI for people. You get a therapeutic dose. But I'm going to talk about something a little bit differently that many of your listeners may not be familiar with. It's called magnesium glycerophosphate. Okay? Magnesium glycerophosphate, in the form that we use, this was a product we had in Europe, in Belgium, exactly for many years as a stress formula. And so magnesium glycerophosphate does not loosen up the GI either. It actually has a better absorption rate than magnesium glycinate. Not disregarding magnesium glycinate. It's out there. It's everywhere. It's a great product. But the magnesium glycerophosphate, a better absorption rate. And in our dosing, in one little scoop, they're getting 400 milligrams of magnesium. Now, that's a therapeutic dose.
Yes.
Because in general, maybe you or I are using up, let's just say, 300 milligrams a day. So if you're taking 100 milligrams of magnesium, you're not making therapeutic threshold like we talked in your earlier episode. But the beauty of this product, and other doctors listening in will love this, is that the glycerophosphate carrier, like we talked about calcium citrate, that the citrate's the carrier. Well, glycerophosphate's the carrier to magnesium. It goes in the body, and what it happens is it's called dissociation, where the magnesium and the glycerophosphate break apart. And now the magnesium can go do its job. It can go help make GABA to calm down the brain. Magnesium's primary for heart function. muscle relaxation. So you get a neurological muscle relaxation effect from magnesium in a nutshell. But the glycerol phosphate actually goes to the brain and regenerates NAD, which makes your energy, your ATP.
Nice.
So it's not winding you up. It's just giving you, when we're all depleted from our stress, it's helping you replenish ATP. It's a very unique form of magnesium.
That is a very unique form of magnesium. I'd have to try that.
Yeah. So for some, I can speak for my wife. That's her Kool-Aid.
That's Kool-Aid.
At nighttime.
Yeah.
We work on stress management throughout the day, but nighttime, that's her Kool-Aid to really calm things down, because 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a therapeutic dose.
Exactly. And I would agree that's a therapeutic dose that I would start with at bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you mentioned a scoop.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about the way that supplements are delivered does make a difference. For some, more for others.
Yes.
Talk about some of the benefits of the different deliverables, whether it's a gel capsule, a tablet, powder, liquid, and how some people might benefit from one sort of
this could be an 8-hour conversation.
Sure.
But, I'm a fan of powders because you look at the volume you can get in a powder. Mm-hmm. It's patient compliancy that's not always there with a powder. I travel a lot. It's not always easy to carry around my powders. You look at tablets. Now, people have an aversion to tablet thinking they're not going to absorb it. We do dissolution times on our tablets, so we make sure they dissolve at a certain rate. Mm. We also do low compression. Can I share a quick story?
Yeah,
when I was working up in Colorado, and I was going to just take a day to go to the Rocky Mountain National Park, and the retired gentleman there that was handing out maps, I needed a map, he goes, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I sell vitamins." I said, "Nutraceuticals." And he goes, "Well, I developed a certain product for the retail market." And he said to me exactly these words. He goes, "We put it under such high compression. When you make a tablet, you have to compress it together." He goes, "We put it under such high compression." He literally said to me, he goes, "You'll never dissolve that tablet." And he goes, "The heat that we put it under bananas the tablet, and when it cools down, it comes back to looking like a tablet." That's pretty shocking to me. And there was one of those brands that we talked about in the last episode. It had like 1 milligram of zinc, not even therapeutic. Now you're not going to dissolve most of it. We do low compression, low heat tableting. You are going to get absorption. And we use, people always ask about fillers and agents. Mm-hmm. We actually sprout a non-soy legume and use it as our food tableting base for our products. So you're getting a food tableting base that is like you're eating food. It's easy. Low compression, you save the enzymes, everything.
Well, I never even thought about the compression that the tablets have to go through and the absorption rate. That's huge. Yeah, so someone is never going to benefit from that tablet from this person.
No, we talked about cost effectiveness of therapeutic results.
Yeah.
That's not cost effective. Even though it's a very inexpensive product, it was a multivitamin. It's like you're wasting your money.
Yeah, that one is not even going through your urine.
No, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But those delivery systems are good. Capsulation, from a manufacturing standpoint, we don't love it because there's a lot of breakage in the machines. Mm-hmm. So that capsulation, people like those. Yeah. Because it dissolves easily, but it's not always the best delivery system in certain cases too.
That's good to know. Yeah, I'm a fan of powders and liquids, especially when people have digestive issues.
Sure.
Just for absorption. People notice the difference.
Absolutely.
Vitamin D is one that I prefer to do in liquid form, in emulsified form. And so when people get off of it and they go on a tablet or something, they notice the difference.
The numbers don't go up as well.
Yeah, they don't go up and they don't feel the way they did on the liquid form.
Yeah, you get good absorption on those.
I like the idea of doing more powders too, powders and liquids personally. And so when my patients, compliance is going to be the thing. I do encourage people there's little plastic little tubes. You can put the scoops in there and just carry it with you, label it. And then, but if traveling, I don't know, white powders might not be a good idea, right? What is this, sir?
That did happen to me, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. With It was inositol, actually. Inositol is a white powder.
Yeah.
But one of my favorites for mood disorders.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about that stress level. You look at inositol, but here's what we talked about earlier too, was the therapeutic dose.
Yes.
Inositol is wonderful. It was kind of, in a nutshell, the original Valium.
Yeah.
But at the right dose. There have been studies using inositol on long-term depressed, long-term anxiety patients being able to get off their medications. Inositol is very important for all of your neurotransmitters. The beauty of inositol, it's half as sweet as sugar naturally, but it's the dosing again. People say, I tried inositol at 100 milligrams. You're not going to get any therapeutic effect. The studies showed that you need to be around 5 grams.
Yeah.
It's a bit of powder. It's not a lot. In our world, it's a teaspoon and a half. Sweeten your uncaffeinated iced tea or whatever, and get a really strong therapeutic effect from inositol.
Do you find, I know I find people, when they first come to me, the dosing is hard. The best are people who are nutritionists.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not trained to understand the dosing, the therapeutic dosing.
Yeah.
Because they're more conventional. Like, they'll freak out at some of the amounts. Like, is it safe? It's like,
Yeah, great about safety. I think that's a question we talked about or had a question about was, people ask me all the time, well, is this going to do this, interact with the medication? Is it safe? That's why they see you. You regulate the dosage of vitamin D based on their laboratory results. You dose, let's say we talked about inositol just now, you dose based on what you know scientifically is going to be a therapeutic response.
Yeah. Do you find this to whether you experience this or you hear from other practitioners, because I know I experience this where, and it's not everyone, but I do get a percentage of patients when they first come to me, they question the supplements so much.
Sure.
They want to vet out every little thing. What's in there? What's it doing? All that. And it's like, but they never even bother to question their doctor about the many medications that they were put on.
Yeah.
That boggles my mind.
They don't question the Starbucks drink at 3 o'clock.
No,
or what's in there.
Everything else they don't question, but does this natural thing, is this safe? Is it good for me?
Yeah, you've vetted this already, and they should trust in you. But I understand this powerful thing called social media makes you question everything. And I'm used to that question. I get 25 to 30 texts a day from doctors saying, my patient's asking this, I don't know the answer, which is, I love being a resource. That's my passion. But there's so much misinformation about what's doing what filler, what this. I'm trying to think of the ingredient people worry about so much, but stearic acid. As all over social media and whatever. Well, stearic acid doesn't allow you to absorb the nutrients. We could sit here for an hour and I could just totally take care of that science. That there's more stearic acid in a stalk of celery than there is in a supplement. And it's naturally occurring.
Yeah.
And the studies that were quote unquote in our industry were very poor studies. So it's something your patient shouldn't panic about, in my opinion. There's in my laptop, there's studies that I can talk about the pharmaceutical industry. They use stearic acid and they have to prove absorbability and utilization. Not a crowd I like to reference too often, but the reality of stearic acid is I think we've taken it too far to cause panic.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is one of the ingredients that I give people, and I internally roll my eyes. Yeah, but What are some other things some hot topics that you want to share with us?
Well, I think let's stick with the stress component if we could. Yeah. We talked about magnesium. I have a big passion for the proper use, the proper therapeutic dose of magnesium, and its effectiveness.
Yeah.
We talked about inositol. This is kind of my 3 sweet products, by the way, because I'm great with theanine. I'm great with all those other things that we look at for. We talked about St. John's in our last episode. Those are great, but let's look at other avenues that maybe your patients haven't tried. 1, again, therapeutic dose of magnesium. 2, inositol is so effective for mood disorders. But let's talk about the third one, which in my tenure at Biotics Research for many years, lithium. Lithium is truly my passion. And I have a mentor that taught me this many years ago. I said, Doctor, why are you using so much of our L-Izyme Forte? And he goes, well, I'm helping people with their anxiety and depression. And we're not here to treat or diagnose disease, okay?
Right.
But the science is there. And the science on low-dose lithium. In August of 2025, a study just came out on lithium and Alzheimer's. That was impressive. That made the news. But this goes way back in the history of lithium carbonate, which people go to and associate, which they panic about because it was used for schizophrenia, was actually the original gout medication. But in 2015, an article in one of our integrative medical journals talked about low-dose lithium therapy for ADD and ADHD in kids. All the way on up into the article, they talked about dementia and Alzheimer's. That was, 11 years ago, if I do the math right, that article was written. Low-dose lithium in the supplement world is always lithium orotate. Okay, that's what we all know as clinicians. But I talked about that tableting base that we grow. We sprout a non-soil legume. We hydroponically grow lithium into the plant. They have free-form lithium as a food. What does lithium do? We've talked about sympathetic, parasympathetic. We've talked about cortisol. Lithium helps balance all that out. It's not going to knock you out. You're not drooling on your shoes. You just don't feel so responsive. So when you're driving to work and the traffic is brutal, you don't feel so responsive. When you're monkey minding at 2 a.m. over the kids or the relationship or your work, you're not so stress responsive. Love L-Izyme Forte.
Is this something that is taking periodically? Is it safe to take long? Like who would benefit? Well, you mentioned some conditions, but I guess is it something that people would take as needed or for a period of time?
Well, let's just put it this way. 2 of them are in my shot glass every morning of vitamins because I've got to go face the day.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty mellow guy.
Yeah.
But I've learned what tools in the toolbox to use. When I came out of college, my mentor, the osteopath, said, this should be in every purse of a mother who deals with life of driving the minivan and taking the kids to school and all the factors that women do in life. So long-term use is totally safe.
Okay.
It's actually going to look like it's going to become a conditional nutrient by the FDA in the near future.
You think so?
Yeah.
What are some other things that you're seeing with our world today in terms of all the shifting of, laws and medicine in general?
Yeah.
Where do you see this industry heading into the future?
I'm hopeful for our industry.
Yeah.
As long as people play by the rules.
Yeah.
My experience has been we're often hop on the bandwagon of something new, and sometimes that something new flirts with the edge of efficacy. And some of it's great. We've seen things come and go, but our regulatory systems are watching things.
Yeah.
They're watching, let's be real, they're watching peptides.
Yeah.
They're watching peptides. I'm a big fan of peptides, but they're watching them.
They are.
The DSHEA Act that put supplements on the map in 1994, which said, okay, these are natural. You can produce these. And we watch all the laws. European laws are different than ours. Canadian laws are different than ours when it comes to supplementation. The United States has it really, really good of what we can dose and make therapeutic levels of. But, when I started out, we were getting faxes that this is going to be taken away and this is going to be taken away. We're still here. I feel confident with who I represent because I know we get inspected by the pharmaceutical division of the FDA. We follow pharmaceutical manufacturing guidelines. As long as others get on that bandwagon and don't skip steps, I think we're really in a good spot.
Yeah.
But I also do know that there are companies that don't follow all the due diligences.
Yeah.
And that's just natural. Yeah. That's in any industry.
So all of these new companies pop up. The risk is, the quality.
The risk is the quality. They don't have the laboratory capabilities that we have. Sending it out. Let's talk about that third-party testing. Your patients, I'm sure, love to know about that. We don't do third-party testing unless our laboratory is finding a glitch somewhere. Because we have that massive certification, sending out for third-party testing costs a lot of money and delays time back to producing a product. Yet, for companies that don't have a laboratory or those capabilities, I would sure ask them who's testing your products and at what stage of the process are they testing. We test pre-production, during production, and post-production. So from a quality standpoint, as the market and the industry grows, I'd want to know those processes from those other companies that have started up.
These companies that are starting up these supplement lines, are they required to go through the third-party testing, or is that something that they just decide to do or not do?
Yeah, I mean.
So you don't even.
Yeah, there's a lot of you don't have
wow.
tos. You don't have to. So, people say, "Oh, it says certified GMP on their label." Well, that's kind of a vague statement because you can literally get an ingredient in, sniff it, look at it, it's the right color. That's your certification.
Oh wow!
It could be that weak, or you can do it to another level and throw the ingredient through all this laboratory testing to make sure it is what it is.
Got it.
Sorry.
Biotics is really, really doing their research.
Well, I feel we are. And again, we're not the be-all, end-all, but you carry a lot of wonderful companies, for your patients. You, again, as I said several times, you've vetted them to get the best response for your patients. Yeah. You know what to do.
Yeah.
But as a consumer, it's a difficult process, you know, and not just throwing another thing in their little basket of stuff.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I would say it's overwhelming, and I'll share this with the audience because the way I learned actually about biotics research, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2010, 2011, and I was not a doctor.
Yeah.
I was desperate looking for something, and I found a doctor in Scottsdale who I went to see. He was a chiropractor, but he practiced natural medicine. He carried your product line there, and that's the products that he gave me.
Yeah.
And it just changed me. I just needed I was 10% away from really improving, and it was the products that he carried there. And so I knew it was that moment that I realized I want to become a doctor.
Cool.
And I knew that the quality matters. Now, something unique about you, about Biotics Research, is that you guys are not like other companies that allow your product just to be sold anywhere, right?
Yeah, we do our absolute best.
You try to really make sure that no one's exploiting your product.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that do knockoffs of other well-known products that they sell on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then people buy on it. Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
People buy things on Amazon and they think they're getting a good quality, and it's like a knockoff.
Yeah, let's just say it really simple. It's suspect.
Sus.
Yeah.
Sus, guys.
It's very suspect when you're buying that way. And Jeff Bezos, hope you don't come at me. I don't have his money. But again, it is a buyer beware industry.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting products that I feel are pretty mediocre. I mean, let's look at it this way. What I said earlier, we're rejecting batches of ashwagandha, which is like one of the biggest things in the industry right now. Yeah. And you know why we're rejecting it? We're finding gluten in it. We're a 100% gluten-free company. Why does ashwagandha have gluten in it? Why are we rejecting that material? So not that the herb is bad, but it's contaminated with gluten.
Why are they putting gluten in it?
Well, we don't know if there's cross-contamination. We're not sure. We're trying to figure out the processes.
Yeah.
But that's a little alarming.
Yeah, that's the other thing to work with reputable companies with in terms of supplements is that you guys are ensuring that it's safe for our patients who are sensitive to gluten, to corn, to soy, to whatever else is that people who are really sensitive to those fillers, right? That you guys are creating the quality product there. They're not going to be reacting to those ingredients.
Yeah, and let me touch base on that, what you just said about corn. And people go, well, I don't want corn-derived vitamin C. Vitamin C is just taking a starch component from corn. There's no corn allergy left. I think I'm just putting a number out there, but let's say 90-some% of all vitamin C is coming from corn. Mm-hmm. And I don't want the people, who are sensitive to corn as a corn allergy to worry so much about vitamin C. There's no footprint left of the protein. There's no footprint left of the component that causes the allergy. It's purely basically taking a starch, a glucose, a sugar, and creating vitamin C. Now, there are other companies out there that make it from potato or whatever. Good marketing.
Yeah.
But is it the reality? Let's talk about reality.
Yeah.
So when we're worried about certain allergy components, please understand that a lot of these components are extracted from maybe, let's say, soy. And you have a soy allergy. A lot of these components are extracted from soy. There's no soy component left. So the interesting part our industry is it's difficult for a consumer to understand the manufacturing process.
Yeah.
So I like to share those little tidbits because I don't want you to, I can't take that, doctor, because that's got a corn
I've
allergy.
had people who have corn allergies and they do the regular vitamin C, that we carry in. There's never an issue because, like you said, they're extracting that nutrient out. Not the other stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Do you want to talk about natural versus synthetic?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sorry, I'm watching my time, but I love to get here. I'm very appreciative to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on here educating me and the audience.
Well, I want you and the consumer to understand the reality.
Yeah.
And again, other people may have a little bit different opinions, but I guess I'm getting just too old to not really, let's get the truth out there.
I agree. There's something about getting older that you're just like, I don't have time for the fillers.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get straight to the point, right?
Yeah. So, natural versus synthetic, it's like, tell me how you define that, because B vitamins, we're all buying those from somebody who makes those. We're not squeezing those from a carrot.
Right.
And when you look at companies that say they're whole food, let's talk about labels. You can't generally, there are a few truly whole food supplements out there, okay? But you can't take all these ingredients from a plant, per se, and get a therapeutic dose of vitamin C. If you look at labels, and this is where to educate on labels, what often happens, and you could legally do this, is in the other ingredients section is label your quote-unquote synthetics. And when I say synthetic, we're not extracting from plastic. When I say synthetic, these are fermented products. These are not just, squeezed from a plant. These are fermented so we know we can produce at a larger volume. But the industry's kind of eschewed some of that. So it's a fine line, and people get all a little bit bent out of shape.
Yeah.
That, this isn't natural. Well, define natural.
Define natural. Yeah. I once went to a conference here a couple of years ago, and there was a practitioner there who was making their own supplement line.
Wow.
And it was all whole foods.
Yeah.
And they were really kind of pushing the product on. And I thought, there's no way that people can afford this.
Yeah.
It was so expensive.
Sure.
And once again, I don't know the process and the studies. Is it worth spending $500, $600, $700 on this supplement line, which is 4 or 5 bottles a month?
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It's a tough pill. It's an expensive one too.
Yeah.
It's like, just eat your food then. Just eat the food.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Just eat the food if you're gonna. This is not realistic for many people.
Yeah.
And though I try to remove myself as I'm not my patient's financial planner. I used to be in finance, so
I'll call you later.
Okay, we'll talk. It's hard to still remove that part of me, but it's like I want to feel confident that what I am because I am recommending this and prescribing it and making note of that. If I'm recommending this supplement, that they're going to benefit from it. And I don't mind the patient making the investment if I know it's backed up by the research, it's backed up by the qualities there, the therapeutic qualities there, the vetting is being done for this. You guys have done all that hard work that I can trust on and say, first of all, I like to try stuff. If I could try it, I will try it before my patient. Sure. If it's not indicated for me, I can't take it.
Right.
I'll buy a bottle or two and give it to some of my patients. And here, you try this for me.
Yep.
and give me feedback. Does this work? What did you experience? Does it not work? And then from there decide, okay, I'm going to bring it out to the clinic and have patients try it. I want to have the 100% confidence that what I'm recommending is that I'm doing my due diligence, right? Yeah. And I don't feel bad about selling the $100, $150 bottle that may last. Sometimes it's not even a whole month. It's a couple months supply, but that they're going to feel better. Now, you gave me a bottle of something. I want you to talk about that supplement. It was
SPMs?
I think it was for pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible at remembering names initially.
I'm terrible at remembering what I left you.
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah.
And so you said, dose it this much.
Yep.
Someone dosed it this much, 8 capsules, I think, a day.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were out of pain the next day.
Yeah.
So I did have someone try that.
Yeah.
And they're like, I did notice I slept better. Yeah. I didn't have pain.
Well,
I wasn't tossing and turning.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is someone who had a really bad physical injury. Yeah. So then, I mean, she felt better just with that dose. So if she continued to take it,
it's my new fave. I know we're wrapping up here, but pro-resolving mediators. You can type it into PubMed, which is where all the medical literature is. 2,200 or so studies on a nutritional ingredient, which is a supercritical extraction from fish oil. So you would need to take a lot of bottles of fish oil to get this response. So yes, still keep taking fish oil for all the other important components, but this extraction from fish oil called pro-resolving mediators, or actually they're the precursors too. The literature is overwhelming as a strong anti-inflammatory, and it's working in a different pathway than we're most familiar with. Mm-hmm. But it's working at an immune level, taking a pro-inflammatory pathway and converting it to an anti-inflammatory pathway. It's probably one of our biggest launching products, our huge response product. And we're an inflamed society. We're in pain. If you're in my age, your hands maybe start to ache, getting going in the morning or whatever. I hiked all weekend, the knees kind of feel it. Or they don't when we really reduce our inflammatory process. So the Biomega SPM, the pro-resolving mediators, is very scientifically backed and very therapeutic. Low doses for chronic scenarios, you can go high dose for acute, you're going to get a better response.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. Yeah. Just like I said, what I've experienced so far. Yeah,
this world is fun. The ever-evolving of nutritional science for your patients and for you.
Yeah. What else would you like to share as we close up here? Because you've shared a lot of great things. And I know this part of the segment really was like the stress response, the stress, right? And so those are great recommendations to consider.
Yeah, the magnesium, the lithium, and the inositol are really, really important. So for whoever's listening in, consult with you.
Yeah, consult with me. Yeah. Find someone who can help you with this. Yeah. The lithium, the dosing, because you said low dose.
Yeah. So, thank you. 150 micrograms per tablet. So it's different than most of the supplements out there, which are lithium orotate, which looks like a lot higher in a number. This is a food form lithium. The literature, very strong out of Texas, actually. They have a higher water supply with lithium in it. About 300 to 600 micrograms a day, so 2 to 4 tablets a day. I think a lot of people would be happy with that to help them with their moods, their anxiety, their depression.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share?
Well, I think with being here today, a strong message for me is it's not just about supplementation.
No.
Even though that's my world, I drive around in my job and I see the lines at Starbucks, I see the lines at McDonald's, and I'm not a purist, but I think the message is to really got to look at food as medicine as best as we can. It's depleted, we know that, and that's where supplementation comes in. The biggest growing part of the industry is a good quality multivitamin, because people learned in 2020 if they didn't have foundational nutrition, they didn't feel as well. And so that is to supplement our depleted food.
That's not to supplement a whole meal.
No.
I've had people do that. Like, I just take a multivitamin and a B complex and I'm good.
You got to eat.
It's like, no, you got to eat your food.
Yeah.
You still got the proteins and healthy fats, all of the building blocks to make us, to regenerate us. So
we need foundation.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you can't supplement if you're healthy. you should want to preserve your health, your physical health, mental health.
Feels good to feel good.
Feels good to feel good. Yeah. So you want to make sure that, you're eating, you're sleeping well, exercising, that sort of thing. And then getting a good multivitamin, getting those other little things to support.
Just foundation.
Especially, I know we talked about, and we got a couple minutes here, but like people who are high performing, not just physically.
Yes.
But if you own your own company, you're traveling a lot.
It beats you up.
Anything that's high performing, you need to supplement, even if you are healthy.
Yes.
This is going to optimize, how you're just preventing illness in the long run. But people who do have chronic disease, you got to do it all.
Yes.
That's what I learned very early on. You can't do little patchwork here and there.
No.
You got to fix the whole.
It's a process.
Gamut. It
takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of commitment.
Yeah, and I think that's where, people who do have chronic disease and they're not feeling well, working with a practitioner, it's a must. Because you don't have the brain capacity, you don't have the experience, the knowledge, all of that to make decisions that are going to get you the results that you need. And so working with a practitioner who's experiencing these using the right supplements is going to work with you in a holistic way, looking at the nutrition, getting that right, physical activity, sleep. If there's issues with sleep, we'll get you with the right magnesium.
Yeah.
Sleep is huge. I call it the 4 pillars of health. It's nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management.
Yeah.
If we focus on those things, add the right supplements to that, people start to get better sooner than later.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, but when people don't, they still want to eat the McDonald's and spend $200-300 a month in supplements. Yeah. And then they wonder why it's not working. No, it's because you're not working.
Well, yeah. I mean, I see a doctor, a naturopathic doctor, because otherwise we get guilty of, we see everything, I need that and I need that on social media.
We're
self-diagnosing ourselves.
Guys, it's so easy. Yeah. Even as a naturopathic doctor, I'm like, let me try that. Let me try this.
I've got that. I need to get that.
Yeah. People ask me, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
How many supplements do you think you take or are you taking consistently?
Yeah, honestly, less is more, I feel. Based on my travel schedule, I know that I need to supplement with quite a bit. I probably take 10 supplements twice a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, not outrageous. But I also respect the value of the product for what's in it versus cost.
The cost, me too.
For the consumer, for sure.
Yeah. I cycle on and off, so I'm not always on a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'm on nothing. Yep. And sometimes I do support it. So I always support adrenal function, my vitamins, nutrients, all of that, get all that. I was on some peptides that I really liked, which even those I had to cycle on and off because you can't
do it all.
You can't do it all.
Yeah.
You can't do it all at the same time. You got to get your body, and your body will tell you, especially if you're healthy, like it'll tell you what you need.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Daniel, I really appreciate you.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun having you here. If you think of any other great ideas, you're always welcome to come back and share.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. I know our audience will take a lot of benefit from just understanding really the quality does matter.
It does.
So thank you to our audience. If you're listening or watching, make sure you're sharing this content that Daniel shared with us today. Supplements are not all created equal. It's better to get a good quality one, and don't overwhelm yourself. If it's too much for you to decide what do you need to take, reach out to me. And if you're not in my area, I can always refer you to someone who can help you. But until next time, make sure that you're sleeping, eating well, and taking good quality supplements. Until next time, be blessed. Thank you for listening to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Help this message reach more people who may need to hear it. Leave your comments. I want to know what you think. If you're interested in learning more about Raíces, visit our website at raicesndmedcenter.com. Until next time, be blessed.